Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome to Synchro Skaters Club. We have a very special guest today who I haven't actually told what we're calling the episode. We're calling it We Are One Team with Lisa Carriere. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We're very excited to be able to talk to her about her own skating career journey, all of that stuff, but also mostly important, of course, is about One Team Movement and all the amazing things they do. But first, I have a couple little bios that I'm going to read out because I'm really hoping everyone listening knows who you are, which seems a little like obnoxious to assume, but if you're a Synchro fan and you have no idea who Lisa is, you need to do a bit more research. So Lisa is the founder of One Team Movement. She's an exercise physiologist with a master's degree in health science. She's a mum, a skater with Team Canada for iconic Canadian teams like Gold Ice Junior, Fusion, Black Ice, and Nexus Senior, and all-rounder boss bitch, which is just, she's a legend. Then obviously One Team Movement is like our main synchro organization is the best way to describe it. It was, I'm going to say it wrong again, founded in Mississauga. That was right. Yes, that was
Nailed
right.
it. Nailed it.
Ontario, Canada, in July 2016 by synchronized skaters and parents. They unite and empower the synchronized skating community in order to grow the sport worldwide through the most important development camps, alongside sport education, synchro ambassadors, and community activations like flash mobs, the wishing walls, and also their merch. So we're super excited to dive into stuff today. Anything else you want to add to that?
Oh my goodness, that was a mouthful. You did a great job.
Thanks. All right. So like usual, we're going to get into it. We're first going to start with a little bit of more details about Lisa's personal skating career and then the important one team stuff. So, when did you first start skating and what got you into it?
Oh gosh. So like a true Canadian, I was probably two or three when I first took my first steps on ice.
Damn.
Just living in Canada, we had outdoor neighborhood rinks in the winter, which made it easy for skating to sort of be a family activity.
Yeah.
So as a family, we would go skating, but also we loved watching figure skating on TV. So watching figure skating like at the Olympics just made me want to be like the
Got
princesses
yeah.
that I saw on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and then how did you get into synchro? How old were you? What did you see a team? How was that?
So I was seven when I was finally enrolled into like a Learn to Skate program with Skate Canada.
Yeah.
And then after my Learn to Skate sessions, it was called Precision at the time, but a
Yeah.
synchro team that was practicing. So I think a lot of skaters kind of found the sport that way, just the exposure to seeing it. But as a 7-year-old, I was like instantly obsessed with how it looked on the ice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I think I just wore my parents down until they finally enrolled me the next year. Um, and then that was sort of it. Like I was just hooked on the team environment and I saw how quickly I was learning and improving as a skater because of how much we worked on like basic skating skills and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a core memory from those like early days where you're like, this is what I love?
Um, I as a kid, I just loved being challenged and
Yeah.
like trying new things. I remember on like a freestyle session, we were just doing like it was a stroking session.
Hmm.
And one of the coaches was like, I always know that you are synchro skaters because you're so good at picking up choreography and your extensions are so good. And it was the
You're like,
first time
that's
that
right.
yeah, it was like the first time as a synchro skater that you sort of felt like validated
Yeah.
in your skating style. So yeah, I remember that. And then I ended up being recruited into ice dance because of the skating skills that I developed through synchro. So yeah, that's cool.
Damn. So you do all the disciplines basically. You did ice
I mean,
dance.
not pairs.
Oh, fair. Yep.
And yeah, ice dance, it was a very short stint. It was really hard to find a partner that was
Of course.
equally
Or good
committed, I'll
enough.
say.
Yeah. Good enough to keep up with you. I've seen you skate.
There it is. Little Lisa, way back when.
Um, so you started nice and young, then early into the synchro. As you got older and you got better, um, we've said earlier that you skated for Gold Ice Junior and then you moved and did senior with some incredible teams, Fusion, Black Ice, and then Nexus. Um, I've put here my first question about that was why you decided to return after your little break for Nexus. But I want to ask, what was your first like tryout like for senior? Were you terrified?
Um, I mean, I think everyone is terrified when they're like 15 trying out for
Yeah.
a senior team. The good thing was at that time, so I skated on Gold Ice Junior and sort of our like sister team was Fusion Senior. And like the coach from the senior team worked with our junior team. So there was sort of that relationship already.
Yeah.
So I wasn't super nervous. I would say I was more nervous trying out for junior because I was coming from like a very little recreational program. I was novice age, so I was actually going to try out for novice, but because I got there so early, they're like, "Oh, you can just go warm up with the junior skaters." And then they ended up asking me to skate on the junior team, which I totally was not expecting. But yeah, there was definitely nerves there just being with like, your idol skaters that you've seen ripping around the
Yeah.
ice, just wanting to
Absolutely.
be with them and yeah.
Absolutely. So then you skated for all these iconic teams, but you had a little bit of a break and then you came back to Nexus. What made that decision? How come you wanted to come back to the ice?
Yeah, so I'll first just preface this by saying it was a 6-year break from
Yeah,
when
yeah, it wasn't a small break.
so my goal was, I mean, obviously to go to the Olympics in synchro, which is still not a thing. So then the next closest was go to Worlds.
Yeah.
So it took me 5 years of skating senior to finally qualify with my team for that honor of competing at a world championship, and that was in
Mm,
2009. And
yeah.
then at that point, skating was really expensive, so I was struggling to sort of to make those ends meet, but then also I was trying to finish my university degree. I wanted to apply to medical school, finish my master's degree. So I just had different priorities at that stage in my life. So I
Yeah.
took the time off. But super random, I'll say twist of fate almost. I had a crazy and really unique opportunity to go to Australia and fill in for like a short-term coaching contract there.
Hmm.
So I did that, and just going back into the sport after this break, I realized how much the sport had improved and evolved in those 5 years that I'd been away from it.
Yeah.
So that was really mind-opening to me. And shortly after when I got home, Nexus was offering like weekly skill sessions with Ann Shelter, just like a drop-in skill session.
Mm,
So I went out to one of those sessions and I learned more in that 1 hour on the ice with Anne than I had in years of skating. It was just such a
damn.
different way
Yeah.
of thinking about skating, of thinking about the blade, the edge, the turn. Um, and then I started to think to myself, like, okay, if I learned that much in 1 year, how much could I learn if I devoted a year to going back to senior and being part of the team? So that
Yeah.
sort of planted the seed, and that was it. I was hooked.
I know your friends and family were like, "Hey guys, so I'm going back." Oopsies.
Yeah, there were a few raised eyebrows, but mostly tons of support.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing to be able to go back to that level after 6 years is just iconic. Then I've got, do you have a favorite senior synchro memory from each team that you were with at that level?
Oh, each team. That's hard. I mean, there's so many incredible
Yeah.
memories. Um, just so that this answer doesn't last like an hour long, I'll go to like, I think my favorite
Summarize.
favorite memory
Yeah.
um was in 2015. So after my 6 year
Hmm.
break when I went back and skating with Nexus. Um, so Synchro was invited that season to be debuted at the Grand Prix final in Barcelona, Spain.
Yes. Yeah.
In I think it was, I don't know, sometime in the fall. I want to say December, maybe early December. Um, so there were, I think, 5 countries that were invited to be part of that. Just
Mm.
every team was invited to compete their free program. And I mean, first of all, just like walking to a rink with palm trees was like, a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And then having that like new perspective of competing after a long break and just like the gratitude that comes with that.
Hmm.
But then I remember right before we stepped on the ice, someone from the ISU who I did not know came into our change room. Um, and honestly gave me like the most genuine good luck message I'd ever received from a stranger.
Oh,
She basically came in. She was like, this is the first time that a lot of these audience members are seeing synchronized skating. They
yeah.
don't know what to expect. So just go out there, skate your best. And the message really shifted my mindset because the pressure of having to compete and be perfect was lifted. Um, and so then the competitive vibe that can often be so toxic in the sport was
Mm,
also lifted. And it all of a sudden wasn't about my team versus your team. It was basically like our sport against the world,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
get
one team,
these,
yeah.
yeah, like let's get these fans to love synchro. I want your team to skate the best and your team to skate the best and
Yeah.
our team to skate, like just everyone
And have
just
fun
go
while
out there and
doing
skate.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, anyways, just skating from that place of calm and like gratitude shifted everything for me. And that kind of was the start of the one team mindset.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. I remember watching that as well because I was
Yeah.
like, I think I was just entering my, yeah, I would have been not quite on the senior yet. I think I started 2016, so I was like watching it like, wow, this is so cool. This could be me
Yeah.
one day. So it was, yeah, amazing to watch. So it's cool to know that that's what the feeling was like in the
At least
atmosphere.
for me. Like maybe
Yeah,
other people didn't feel the
like,
same way,
This
but
was horrible. The pressure was too much."
yeah.
No, that's so cool. That leads us very nicely on then to the founding of One Team Movement, where you got the very, very first idea from, and what the process was like from that first idea to actually making it official.
Yeah, so I'll say like there's a lot of things that led into the development and the creation of One Team Movement.
Yeah.
Um, Generally, it was just like my life experiences that led to it. And then when I wanted to go back for another year of senior, but just couldn't afford it. But I also
Mm,
didn't want to step away from the sport like I had done 6 years prior.
yeah.
And I wanted to find a way to be involved, but giving back to the sport in a different way. But I really found that like synchro, it's an incredible sport, but like any sport, it has its challenges.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges being cost. Like I mentioned before, when I was competing, I struggled to pay for the sport. And I also saw a lot of really talented teammates have to step away because of financial barriers, which is devastating.
Mm,
But
you're
I
so
kept thinking about
talented.
how yeah, and really when you have like really passionate skaters that never have the opportunity to stay in the sport because of cost, meanwhile you have a sport that's trying to push for Olympic inclusion.
Yeah. The two don't really go
It
together.
exactly. Yeah, so that sort of planted one of the seeds for One Team Movement. The organization wasn't originally designed to like run camps. The vision was broader. It was finding ways to support the community and create opportunities that didn't exist.
Mm,
So the first thing that we tried was really just I bought 300 t-shirts with the
yeah.
One Team Movement logo.
The
It was
iconic.
scary. Yeah. It was scary though, because I was like, if I buy like 300 shirts and I can't sell them, like I'm out thousands of dollars here.
Yeah.
But thankfully there was a lot of support within my community that like, no, no, this is a great idea. You're gonna sell them. Just go with
Yeah.
it.
They were huge. Those, I
Yes.
mean, I
And
guess
it
they
was
still are.
but that's how it started. So in a sense, it was great because we were spreading the One Team Movement mission and idea. And then we donated the proceeds to a team in the Netherlands. We had like a contest to give away the funds to a team that needed it. So that helped with the initial challenge of financial barriers.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, that sort of proved that there was momentum behind the idea of athletes really collectively coming together to support the sport. And from there, it's grown into the camps, the ambassadors, and other programs. But yeah, I think the underlying goal has always been the same. It's building the synchro community and creating more opportunities for skaters.
Yeah. Um, it's on your website, and obviously we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but can you also just talk about the other few key people that you would say were involved in those early stages?
Yeah. So when we first came up with the idea of one team, like there's so many things that go into making a business. As you
Yeah.
know, it's like what name is going to work? What website do we go with? What logo do we go with? So it was a few of my teammates from Nexus, but also from other teams as well that had
Hmm.
different business backgrounds or graphic design backgrounds. And they were willing to lend their expertise to help One Team Movement become what it was born to be.
You're like, hey guys, I need help. Thank you, everyone.
Well,
Everyone's gonna
that
come help.
That's it. It's like that's the whole idea of one team movement. It's like one person cannot do what you can do collectively.
No,
So really leaning on people to work together as a team and make great things happen.
and everyone has their own skills that they can bring to the table, which is what makes us so unique.
Absolutely.
What was one of the very first, I mean, we've already mentioned the t-shirts, but what was one of the very first things you did as an organization that you were extra proud of? And you're like, damn, this is doing something.
So the pride piece of this one, I think launching our first ever development camp in
Yeah.
Australia with the support of the ISU Development Commission, that was huge. It was a really big effort to get there. Obviously, early on with One Team Movement, there was
Mm.
curiosity and some uncertainty about what One Team Movement actually was and how we
Yeah.
kind of fit into the sport. Even, as much as the t-shirts were a good thing, then some people thought we were just a t-shirt company. So it's sort of
Yeah.
like combating these narratives that sort of come up in the synchro world. It's broken telephone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was what 20 I'm trying to is
Which
the one
camp? The Australia?
yeah, the Australian one. I think that's the one I went to.
2019.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the one I was at.
Yeah, we had I think
Yeah.
6 or 9 skaters from New Zealand that came. It was like a small
Yes.
group.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was. Because I was still with Nova, but I think yeah, some of the
Oh,
Black
right,
Ice
you were
skaters
there.
came over. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you were with the Australian team.
There was a little group of Kiwis that came all the way across the ditch, and there was a couple from Asia as well, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah, we had some skaters from Japan too.
Yeah, that's right. No, that was so
Yeah,
cool.
but
I
it
loved
was
it.
It was just for us, it was really validating because of those challenges that we had to and like the hurdles we had to overcome to be able to put
Mm,
on the camp, but then also do so with the ISU Development Commission support. It was very validating for us.
yeah.
And it showed that our goals aligned with growing and developing the sport and proved that we could work alongside like existing structures while also
Yes.
contributing new
Yeah.
things.
Also organizing a camp from the other side of the world.
Yeah, that was fun.
Time zones and all sorts. No, I had
Yeah.
so much fun at that camp. I was peak fangirl at that point and absolutely loved it.
Oh.
So thank you because it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
we hear though, is like so many times it's like people don't know what a one-team movement camp is until they're there.
mm,
And like the impacts are sometimes immeasurable, you know? It's like you have that experience to like meet a coach from Finland or other senior skaters, or you're a young skater who doesn't know where you can go in the sport, and then
mm,
you get to talk to other athletes. But like it's really interesting to see where athletes go from the time they come to a first camp to like, 5, 10 years down the road.
what they're doing down the track. Nah, it's really, really
Yeah.
cool. Um, what have I got here? That kind of, I guess, is a very similar answer to this question. The moment that you realize One Team Movement was like this crazy success or like hugely popular. Was it when everyone was buying your t-shirts? Was it the camp in Australia? Was there something else? And you were like, damn, this is taken off.
Honestly, like I'm not sure I've ever had a moment where I thought of One Team Movement as a hugely popular organization.
Yeah, too humble. You're
I
like,
still,
nah, it's fine. It's still like underground. No one knows what it is.
well, I'm like, do people even know we exist? Like I still very much think of it as a community initiative that's like growing step by step.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, there have been moments where I realized the idea was resonating with more people than we initially anticipated, but we
yeah.
always hoped for. Um, but yeah, I think having interest in hosting camps in other countries, like having a camp in Australia was
Hmm.
a big one. And then also having skaters come from Australia or Europe to camps in North America
Yeah.
without us having to directly reach out. They just knew about
They
it and
just
came. That was,
chose.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
cool.
pretty cool. I guess it's hard as well for us for anything in Synchro because it's such like this small little niche community that half the time anyone outside of Synchro is like, what is this? What is going on?
Right.
And I remember driving around with the sticker on my old car. Fiona, rest in peace, she has gone now. My favorite little car, but I had it on the back of the window, and everyone's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this cool synchro thing. You should have a look."
Yeah.
But it
But
is
that was like, sorry, go ahead.
because no one outside of who we are knows what it is.
Yeah. And so two things on that. That was one of the ideas behind the logo is like
Mm.
there's no mention of synchronized skating in our business name or on the graphic because it invites the conversation. You know, people see one team movement and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" And then you can
Yes.
have the conversation about synchronized skating and maybe your team. So it's like that entry point to learn about synchro. One of the ideas with one team movement is sometimes we can be so focused on our
Mm.
own team success and our own team's development, but at the end of the day, if you're a national champion or a world champion in a sport that nobody outside of our sport knows
Hmm.
exists, like where's the validation in that? So
Yeah.
I think the more that we can grow the sport and bring outside eyes in, the better it is for those of us participating in the sport too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of that, everything about it. Where to next? What have I got? Oh, can you then talk a little bit about the day-to-day operations of One Team Movement? I mean, I'm sure you could spend hours and hours and hours on anything and everything for it, but like, how much time would you say you spend on it each week?
So it really depends on the time of year. There
Mm,
are periods where it's like less intensive, like in the fall, but right now we're in like heavy camp prep mode with five
yeah.
camps coming up this spring and summer. And then I also oversee 4 or 5 other ongoing projects. So I'd say I'm probably spending like 30 to 40 hours a week
Mm,
on one team movement.
damn.
It used to be more, but then I had kids that forced me to figure out balance a little bit better.
Yeah, even it out.
Yeah, but like I find right now, a lot of the work is hands-on because we don't find out about some of our grant funding until like April. So I'm managing a lot of the logistics myself from like setting up camp registration forms to confirming facilities, doing the marketing, creating schedules, food menus, camp design, like the
Yeah,
t-shirt design, and like there's so many things that go into
running a camp.
to doing a
Yeah,
camp. So and then yeah, that's just for camps. Like there's other projects that we have going on as well that I oversee. Like our global ambassador program,
yeah.
thankfully, is managed by one of our summer funded students, Tegan.
Oh, cool.
And then we have another summer student oversees like, a research project that we have going on right now. We have some students that are enrolled in like a funded student program. They're looking at like sponsorship opportunities for One Team Movement. Um, if anyone that's listening is interested in sponsoring or partnering, shameless plug.
Please let us know.
Ultimately, yeah, you guys and us, I'm sure.
Go to one team first, they're more important, and then you can come to the podcast.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's ultimately like we're limited by manpower and hours in the day for
Yeah.
how much we can do, but yeah, we're always trying to do more
So how
to
many
support the
people do
community.
you reckon that you've got working as your little worker bees? What's
Like,
just a
uh,
guess?
so there's probably like 5 or 6 people that I check in with weekly
Hmm.
because they're currently managing projects. But like for camps, we probably have 6 to 8 people. Obviously, there's like my board that oversee and provide guidance on certain projects. But
Hmm.
yeah, in total, there's probably like 30 or so people in a year that will contribute to projects for One Team Movement,
Yeah,
obviously in differing amounts and different capacities.
of
Sometimes it's
course.
like an hour once, like, one time a week, or it's just for the camp that they come and then sort of their next involvement is the following year at camp.
Yeah,
But yeah.
absolutely. I guess that's one thing people don't realize because they see whatever gets posted on Instagram or like they, all the ambassadors and stuff, and like see your posts and everything, but don't realize how much actually goes into everything like that, and how many people it takes to make a little post like that
Yeah, I
actually
was
happen.
I was like last week, because that's the other thing too, is like you can build a phenomenal camp, but at the end of the day, people have to sign up for it.
Yeah.
So we're, brainstorming ways to market one of our camps. And it's like, you come up with the idea for how to market it, but then, like you were talking about the other day with Emily from Jura, it's like then you have to come up with the social media post and the story
Hmm.
post and the graphics. And it's like one idea that might just take 2 or 3 hours of thinking, ends up taking a whole day to actually bring it forward to reality.
Yes, absolutely. So there's so much more that goes into it. It doesn't just pop up on your
Yeah.
screen. Anything like that
It,
one, even like with the podcast stuff. Like, yeah, it's just there every week. It's like, no, no, no.
it takes a lot of work. And even like yeah, it just takes a lot of work.
It does. It's crazy work. So shout out to everyone involved in making the cogs of one team movement go round because
Yes,
there's quite
big
a
love.
few. Um, so that's kind of what we've already mentioned, but if I guess we can go over it a little bit again. Are there, you mentioned like the specific roles people have in the board,
Mhm.
although you kind of already covered that in that day-to-day operations, but
It's more like the you advertise for paid roles. Are they still in place?
yeah, let's do that. So you we have mentioned the funding and stuff that you get for, is it summer students? And I
Mhm.
imagine everything that you get for one team is Canadian, or the funding you can't really apply for anything. Yeah. So
So we could have, I mean, if we had people in different places that
you
were
could.
applying for funding, like, yeah, we could apply for funding in Australia or in different regions. If somebody knew about it, they could apply for the funding and work for our organization. But ultimately, with our roots being in Canada, we
Yeah.
end up knowing about Canadian opportunities and applying for them. If we're lucky, we get some funding,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, it has to be used for a Canadian citizen or a Canadian student or for
I
projects benefiting Canadian. Like there are stipulations to how
I
they can be
see.
used.
So I remember seeing when you've advertised a couple times for the ro like the paid roles, and that makes so much sense. Where it's like a Canadian, like that makes so much sense. So if anyone's listening
Yeah.
and they want that sort of thing in their country, you need someone that's
Yes.
willing to take it on in wherever you are in the world. Otherwise, yeah, I guess it's just gonna stay in Canada for now. You know what? You get Sammy J
Well,
on that. She's missing skating at the moment. You can get Sammy J on that
perfect.
sort of thing.
Call her up.
Yeah. Hey, mom.
Yeah.
We want some funding on this side of the world. Um, how many of those paid placements do you have at the moment? You said you've definitely got one.
So right now there's none because generally the funding is, well, sorry.
Uh,
There There's a student program. So we have like a partnership with a program that funds students to work on projects. So we have two students that are currently doing work for us. They're paid directly from this external organization that has the partnership.
got ya.
And that's sort of year round. It's just if we have a project, we can apply to this program, and then the program connects us with students. So they're not necessarily people that know what synchronized skating is. They're just people with different skill
Ah,
sets.
I
And
see.
then and then we will apply for grant funding. Well, we already applied in like November, December, but we'll find out in April. And generally, those contracts will go from like April to September to fund. And that can be people that we know, like synchro skaters,
Got ya.
but it can fund them to work on like different projects for us.
Damn. So you've had people where you have to completely explain what synchro is. They like get this
Oh yeah,
role and they're like, what am I doing? What is this?
that's been a learning curve in itself. Just how to get someone up to speed in synchro.
Yeah, and be like, this is what you're working for. You have to learn to love it because everyone
Yeah.
that sees your stuff is going to love it. Where to next? Okay, let's go to a bit more about the Synchro ambassadors and how that initially started and what their roles are in the community for people that like see the post but like think it's cool, but what's the like long-term goal of that?
Yeah. So I'll start with how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I don't know if you remember, but US Figure Skating had a Dream program.
Yes. Yep.
And it was basically just highlighting some of their top synchronized skater. I don't know if they had more than a social media page. I just remember their social media page.
Yeah.
But they would share glimpses into, a day in the life or training tips or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And for them, that was a way to connect like grassroots level US figure skating with senior skaters.
Mm.
And then one of our volunteers was working with the program, and she's like, "There's an opportunity here to bring this and do it, geographic or across
Yeah.
geographic locations, make it worldwide." And so she really helped. That was Sarah. She really helped us to get it off the ground. And we, like anything, you start something, you learn, you refine,
Yeah.
and go from there. But basically, I think now we're in our fourth year, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn.
Maybe fifth. I think four though. But each year we basically reach out to senior coaches and we ask them to nominate a skater from their team to join the ambassador
Mm-hmm.
program. Ultimately, it's up to them. Some coaches choose not to participate, some are happy to.
Mm-hmm.
But then the ambassadors, they'll take on like a series of tasks and projects that we agree on at the start of the season so that they kind of know what they're expected to do.
Yeah.
And then they'll just basically do those projects. And the goal is really to bridge the gap between like grassroots synchro and elite level synchro.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a lot of clubs, like if you have a senior team nearby, then you kind of see the connection between where you are and where you have to like
When,
aim to be.
yeah, 100%.
Um, but in a lot of developing regions, without that senior presence, that bridge is
Yeah.
missing.
I
So
guess you get a lot of the girls in like that peak teenage, it's what is it? It's like 13 to 15, where it's like the most common time for girls to drop out of sport.
drop out.
And if they don't have
Yeah.
that direction of somewhere to go, then they can't see. So I really love it. Um, the ambassadors that I mean, you've had some of the skaters that have been doing it since the start now, right? Like they're
Yeah.
like, yep, sign me up for another year. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
But then you've also got a couple new ones, especially from some of the newer teams. Is it you've got one from, is it Austria that you've got? Or
I
maybe
don't
you just posted about the new team. Maybe I saw that.
I don't remember.
Vienna. I think maybe you just posted about that new senior team that they were starting.
Okay.
Um, what I don't even know how many ambassadors do you have? Do you know off the top of your head?
We have 17 this year.
Damn. Or from 17 countries, or is there's a couple from?
So I think, I mean, in the US we have, I think, two. In Canada we also have two. So not 17 countries, but
Yeah.
I want to say it's 12 countries maybe, or no, it's probably more than that. Maybe 14 countries, 17 ambassadors. That sounds right.
Nice. Yeah, and that's very, very cool.
It's cool because if you step outside of like, the actual experience of like the coach having to manage, obviously like the priority for
Mm,
these senior teams is for them to train hard and do the best they can internationally. But and for a senior skater, like that is your primary goal is like training with your
yeah.
team. But I think giving senior skaters the opportunity to do something bigger than themselves and bigger than their team, to have that mentorship role within the community is a really impactful life experience for them. It's a
Yeah.
resume experience too, but just like to be able to say that, yeah, I train at the highest level, but I also leverage my skills to help developing skaters. And
Yeah.
to me, that's like the very premise of what One Team Movement is. It's like if every single skater is trying to learn a death spiral by themselves for the first time, it's going to take a lot longer than if there's senior skaters saying like, here are some tricks that actually work.
Yeah.
Here's a progression that will help you get from A to Z in much less time. To me, that's where the potential really skyrockets in the sport.
Absolutely. Have you been used yet as a reference on a CV, or has anyone been like, you have
Oh yeah.
all the
Yeah, yeah.
time?
A lot of times for university applications, for scholarship applications, for
Oh, okay.
jobs too.
Yeah,
But that's one thing that we actively encourage is
of
like
course.
you
Yeah.
are involved in One Team Movement. If I can help any skater in any way,
Yeah.
um, you know, as a thank you for what they've done for us, like I'm more than happy to write a recommendation letter or yeah,
Yeah.
give
Be a
it
name on a
reference.
list somewhere for them. That's very cool.
Totally. Camp number one. So before we actually ran our own camps, we helped deliver a camp in San Diego in 2017 called Sun Surf Synchro.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember those t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the founder of that, like Sun Surf Synchro, was a former Team USA synchro skater who was building the sport out there. She heard about One Team Movement, so she invited us to come to the camp and help out. Although she did all of the planning for the camp, we sort of just showed up and did some of the off ice programming and I
Yeah.
guess some of the on ice instruction. Um, but funny story there. One of the skaters from that camp is now a Nexus senior. So it's just like it's
Oh,
cool to see, like
full
I said before,
circle.
where
Yeah.
yeah, and she came to our camp last year as a camp leader. She's like, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, that is crazy."
That's so
Like
cool.
8 years later. But yeah,
I,
so after that first experience, we launched our One Team Movement camps. The first year there was one in North Carolina in like the southern US. They're really trying
mhm.
to grow synchro. And then also one in Quebec where I was living, and there were not any synchro development camps at the time. And yeah, I was super nervous. Like running a camp just involves so many details and unexpected challenges. And I felt like I had a million tabs open in my brain.
Yeah.
We had Anu Oxenden, who led our first camp in North Carolina, and then Kaisa Arateg, who led the camp in Quebec a few weeks later. So on one hand, like having these incredibly prestigious coaches was super exciting and thrilling. But at the same time, it also added pressure because I wanted to impress them and help them
Yes.
understand one team movement,
Yeah.
which was still fairly new at that
Yeah.
time.
Be like, please come back.
Um, yeah. And I just remember also like the whole idea of one team movement and bringing in the camp leaders from senior teams.
Mm.
You know, a lot of times there's a lot of tension between senior teams because they are competing for that world spot. And they all put so much time and effort into the sport. And I remember at that time just the tension between the top senior, like Canadian senior teams.
Mm.
And my hope was to bring them together through the Quebec camp to boost sportsmanship between them. And so I remember at the end of the camp, realized like they left as friends. You know, they
Oh,
came
that's
in as
good.
competitors and then they got to know each other as humans. And
Mm.
then some of them became like pen pals and like besties after the
That,
camp. So
that's so
that
nice.
yeah, that to me was like the biggest win, just realizing that skaters can compete but still collaborate.
Mm.
And that was, yeah, probably one of the most rewarding things from the camp is just seeing all of these skaters come together from so many different teams and creating those friendship bonds.
Yeah. I can even remember that from the Australian one, like, because obviously that's the same thing between the Australian teams back then. I was like, who's getting the world spot? And it's like, oh no, we don't
Totally.
talk to them. We don't talk to them. Like it's all separate. And then at the camp, like made friends and still follow them on Instagram to this day, like of from skaters from the other team. And I think that is the important part. Like, yeah, the competitive side is very fun sometimes, but it can also perhaps go a bit too far and forget that
Hmm.
we're all humans and
Yeah.
all in it for the same thing. So I do absolutely love that. Do
Yeah.
any of those camp leaders, are they still coming? Are they still leaders or are most of them, well, they've still got some of the same ones?
Yeah, I mean, Emma is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
She was like a first year Nexus skater at the time.
Yeah.
And then I think she trained with the team for 7 or 8 seasons, and now
Yeah.
she's part of our like camp crew that comes to all of the camps with us.
Icon.
Um, yeah, so she's been there since the early days. And I think most others have kind of moved into coaching or stepped back from the sport, if I'm not mistaken.
But
But
it's still nice that you've got some involved or you've got those full circle moments now from that very first camp. Like, I guess for you, that
yeah,
must mean
and
like it's actually paid off. Like, this made a difference.
for sure, yeah. And some of those coach like the skaters from back then, now they're coaching and now they get to send their skaters to the camp or some of the really young ones that came to camp at the early days, now they're coming back as camp leaders. So to
Yeah.
have that full circle moment too, where it's like this camp helped me and now I want to help others
Yeah.
is a really cool thing to see.
If this one's not on there, but if there are people listening or younger skaters and their goal, say, in the future is to be a camp leader, what would they need to do to reach that?
So generally, we used to only have senior skaters come as camp leaders.
Hmm.
Just as, I mean, it's a maturity thing and an age thing, partially.
Yeah.
Um, just the maturity that comes with skating as you're older versus younger. Um, so, but in recent years, we've accepted some junior skaters as well, as like on ice demonstrators. So we'll have
Hmm.
like the senior skaters really mentor the camp participants, and the junior skaters can do the on ice demonstrations, because they are very qualified and
Yeah.
excellent skaters, and they can demonstrate very well. So that's been kind of cool for us. But I would say it, you do have to have, I think, junior or senior experience
Hmm.
to come as a camp leader because one of the roles of the camp leader is to talk about their experiences, the challenges, the obstacles they overcame with younger skaters and help them realize that, it's not a smooth journey from grassroots to elite.
Hmm.
Every skater has different obstacles they have to overcome, whether it's being an alternate or being injured or not qualifying for a competition they had their heart set on. And
Yeah.
so being able to hear the stories from those top junior and senior skaters who have been through it and prevailed through it all, is a key aspect of the camp. So yeah, as long as they're a junior or senior skater, they can just reach out if they're interested in coming to a camp and they can touch base and we can see if we can make something work.
Go from there. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, still on the topic of camps, but to the very important part that we really want to talk about is there's some very exciting camps coming up this year. Do you
Yes.
wanna list them all first, and then we can talk about
Let's see if I can get the dates right here.
you do it, yeah,
Um,
from the
so
top
we're
of your
starting
head.
early. Yeah, we're starting off early this year in Saskatchewan, Canada, on the prairie side of the country. So we have a 2-day regional development camp on April 25th and 26th. Then we go to an international camp in Brantford. It's our fourth time offering the camp there on May
Wow.
23rd and 24th. Then we go for our next international camp in Pleasant Prairie. I think it's also our fourth year doing that camp in Wisconsin, June 12th to 14th. Then we have one in the South Shore of Montreal area, June 26th, 27th, 28th. And then our last one is August 1st and 2nd in Arizona. So yeah, those are the camp dates. All of our camps have adult clinics for adult synchro skaters. There's different camp groups for like, beginner level synchro all the way up to aspiring junior and senior level skaters. We also welcome coaches because coaches can not only observe the camp sessions, but it's just a valuable opportunity for them to network with each other and meet fellow synchro coaches, get to meet the head coach of the camp and ask them questions. We have a few like structured coaches clinics. So this year we will have our synchro coaches clinic in Brantford. Right now, the facilitator for that hasn't been announced yet, so I will hold that until it's fully confirmed. But you can always
Okay.
find information on our website.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then we'll also aim to offer another coaches clinic in our Pleasant Prairie camp as well. And those clinics are just great for synchro coaches that want to come and learn, targeted drills and just like information on coaching synchro, whether it's like periodization for your program, apps that can help with cutting music or recording or whatever it may be,
Mm.
um, tips for like managing nerves for your athletes or goal setting or whatever it may be. It's just more targeted synchro education.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess no matter what, you can coaches. I think there's some out there that think they know everything, but good coaches are the ones that know that there
Always
are always more to learn.
Always learning. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like what really sets the camp experience apart, like, and, there's different degrees of skaters and training, but in general, synchro is a sport where like a lot of times like perfection is the goal. Like
Mm,
you want to have the right edges, the right steps, the right balance, the right execution of things. But for
yeah.
us, camp is really a place to take the pressure off, and to try new things and learning in a new environment where there's no
Yeah.
pressure, there's no stress, there's laughter, there's encouragement. There are tons of senior skaters and junior skaters and like top level coaches as well to help you learn these skills. And
Yeah.
sometimes not necessarily teaching anything different than what your coach does, but saying it in a different way or
Mm,
just being in a different environment that allows these skaters to develop new skills. So,
yeah.
yeah,
And just
it's a lot.
less competition, I suppose, as well. Just it's just fun.
Yeah, fun and like friendships and like when you think about synchro, normally the only time you meet other synchro skaters is when you're competing against them.
Yeah.
Well, that's not that's not generally an environment that fosters friendship,
No,
right?
and like, oh, you're not allowed to talk to them as you walk past. You're like, don't talk to the other
Yeah.
team, don't watch the other team.
Stay in your bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for us, like camp is a place to remove those barriers and to remind each other that like you can compete but still be friendly. You can compete but still encourage one another. And, if you're in a venue where, your competitors are cheering for you, imagine how that would feel
Mm,
versus it just being your friends and family. So
yeah,
can we
absolutely.
foster that environment for everyone? That's
Yeah,
sort of the goal.
100%.
Yeah.
How obviously you've got some of the camps that have been going strong for a couple of years, which is great, which means that everyone loves them and wants to be there. Is Arizona that's a new one, right?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you decide where you're going to go to next? Like what
Great
said,
question.
yes, Arizona,
So
let's go there, the desert.
We do have like a application process for people wanting to bring a camp to their area. Um, so that's sort of how we get in touch with some of these clubs. For the Arizona one in particular, one of their head coach came to our camp in Pleasant Prairie 2 years ago, I believe it was, and she brought 12 of her skaters with her.
Wow.
And she's in an area where they have a lot of synchro, but not a lot of opportunities for development.
Hmm.
So she said, I'd love to have a camp in my area. Could you ever, bring it our way? And I said, absolutely. If you have the skaters and the ice time, we can build it. So yeah, a lot of times it's coaches that will come to our camp, but they're from other regions and they'll
Hmm.
ask us to bring a camp closer to them. And other times, like we were contacted from a club in Sweden asking us to bring a camp there. So we're planning a camp for May. What are the dates? I'm gonna pull up my calendar because people in Europe were coming for you.
That's so exciting. I think you did give.
Um, yeah, it's May 7th through 9th of 2027. We're planning a camp in Sweden.
That's so
And
cool.
that was just a club that reached out and said, hey, we've been following One Team Movement for a long time. We think your camps are great. Would you ever consider doing one in our region? So the answer is always yes.
It's
Like we can do a camp anywhere if there's interest. So yeah.
absolutely.
If you're fortunate to grow up skating synchro in an area where there is a lot of synchro, then the coaches they know so much more because they've grown up in
Mm,
the sport. They've experienced it. They have good connections that can help out. But in a lot of regions where there's not a lot of synchro, where do they learn?
yeah.
So to be able to bring in a top level international coach to teach them like this is actually how you teach a pivoting block
Mm,
and kind of like cut from A to Z faster than them having to learn like, okay, this progression doesn't work, these steps don't work, give them tangible skills and exercises that can help them grow the sport. I think we'll see the sport start to develop that much faster in those kind of more grassroots regions.
yeah.
Yeah. And then because we originally had a camp planned for the Netherlands in 2020. And then we had to cancel it because of the pandemic. But even that camp, like we were excited to be able to offer a camp in
Yeah,
Europe.
of
And that's
course.
always been our goal is like our goal has never been to support the development of synchro in Canada. It's
Yeah,
been
worldwide.
developing the
Yeah.
growth of synchro worldwide. And so I think part of us being able to deliver on that mission and vision is being able to do camps across the world. So we're hoping to bring that back for 2027 and
Yeah.
beyond.
So if anyone's listening that knows that they want to camp in their region and they have the ice time and the availability, I guess I guess you see everything on Instagram and some people might be like, "Oh, that's too far away, that's too much, like it could never come here," but it could. You just have to have one person that's willing to reach out or be organized and know what's going on in your area for something big
Yeah.
for the seed to be planted for something else to take off.
That's it.
But I love that it's the development camps. I guess that's like the one big um, barrier, I suppose, to synchro and the coaches' education and stuff like that, getting it to even to the countries that don't have it and encouraging skaters. I know there was the one last year, was it in Thailand or something that I think the ISU did?
Yeah.
And that's the sort of stuff that is what's going to grow it. So I mean, Sweden's like, they're good. They know most of their shit, but but having development there with the younger teams is great, but having it in the countries that don't have that, I guess, is also something that would make a huge difference. I mean,
Yeah.
even places like Turkey, I suppose, somewhere having a camp like that would be amazing.
Yeah, I honestly I don't think there's very many places where a synchro camp doesn't help in some way.
No, because
Even
it's
if it was
skating
like a
skills.
right, and like even if it's a junior senior camp, like is that who you ideally want to develop? Maybe not, like start younger.
Mm,
But even if there was that goal of like developing junior senior, well then it's like you're bringing skaters together again that never normally get to see each other in a sportsmanship setting. It's
yeah.
like instead of them always competing, bring them together to learn together and then maybe they develop a new love for the sport and they end up deciding that they want to coach in the sport or mentor in the sport or do other things to give back to foster the growth of the sport because they fall in love with it in a new
Mm,
way. Like to me, synchro camps are all wins, regardless of who you're targeting. Obviously, if you go to a region where there's not a lot of synchro, the challenge with that is just finding enough skaters to fill the camp,
yeah.
and people that are willing to pay to register for the camp because we are a not-for-profit organization, but the
Mm,
registration has to cover the cost of running it. So sometimes we run into situations where they want a camp, but because synchro is so heavily subsidized in their region through government grants and funding, in certain countries, getting senior is like a few hundred euros a
Hmm.
month. And so for them to spend a few €100 for a weekend camp, families are just,
Like, no, can't
they're
happen.
not
Yeah.
open to it. Not that they can't afford it because they'll still be able to get their brand new iPhone, but to
Yeah.
spend that much on a synchro camp is just such a foreign concept.
Yeah.
So that's another, I'd say, barrier that there is to doing synchro camps is like there has to be the ice, there have to be the volume of skaters, but then there
Hmm.
also has to be either a willingness to pay or some sort of funding structure in place to offset like the ice time or, the cost of running the camp. Otherwise, it just becomes
Yeah.
impossible, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing, like skating in general, it's in a big fridge. No matter what, it's unfortunately an expensive
Yeah.
sport. So having to cover those
Mhm.
costs is one of the key parts.
Yeah.
Um, you're talking just quickly about the registration and stuff. So for I think a couple of the camps have already closed
No,
registration. No,
every
they're still
every
open.
campus, yeah, I never want someone to not be able to come to camp because they just didn't know about it. If someone finds out, the day before and they want to register, does it complicate things for us? Yes. But do I want to tell them they can't come because they're too late? No. Like I want to
No.
be able to influence and help as many skaters as possible. So yeah. We try to close, I mean, ideally people register at least a week before, but
Yeah.
there's always one or two that sign up, 24,
Last
48
minute.
hours ahead of the camp.
Like, all right, cool. I add you onto the list. Looking forward to it. Just give me a
Yep,
second.
yep, yep.
Do you have, I mean, I guess then you don't really have capacity caps, but what sort of target for each camp of participants do you aim for?
Um, it depends on the camp, and that's again a challenge of our camps is like each camp is structured differently based
Mm,
on the community and the needs. So yeah, every schedule of like every camp looks different, the
yeah.
capacity looks different. We do reach capacity always, so there are certain groups that will have to close because
Hmm.
they reach cap. Like our camp in Saskatchewan. Our cap was 30. I think we're at like 42 now. So we're just going to add another adult group and then we
Damn.
can, divide them more by skill level, which is
Yeah.
just gives them a better experience too. But yeah, as long as there's the ice time available, we can always grow the camp and bring in extra coaches. So
Whatever you need
that's
to
what we
do.
aim for.
What's
Yeah.
the
But I think
biggest number of participants you've ever had? Do you remember what
um
camp was the biggest?
uh, that's a tough question. I feel like we're normally around 150
Yeah.
at a camp and that's including volunteers and coaches and camp leaders.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's normally sort of our goal is like 150.
And it's
Yeah.
150 people is a big, big
Well,
venture.
and
It's
when
no
if you,
easy.
yeah, if you have like, five camps and 150 of each one, it's like, okay, you're like almost 1,000 athletes a year. It's, 750, but
Damn, nice.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the camps before we move on? I think we kind of covered a lot of it, but
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't realize that you can go to any camp regardless of where you live. Like some people say, oh, camps are in Toronto and I live in Ottawa and I don't want to drive 3 hours away, or I
yeah.
live in Australia and I'm not gonna like, we don't have a camp here. But just sort of a note to everyone listening is
Hmm.
you can attend any camp you want to.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a lot more convenient if it's in your city and in your region, but we've had skaters fly from Australia to our camps in North America. We've
Mhm.
had participants from Turkey and from Europe, and obviously, we would love to be able to offer camps in every city and in every region of the world. But in the meantime, they are available to you to come, although I understand the travel and logistics are not an easy
No.
barrier, but we welcome people from everywhere,
Yeah,
coaches, skaters included.
absolutely.
And camp leaders. We've had camp leaders come from Europe as well. They're just like, hey, can I come volunteer? Like, I'm planning some summer travel through North America. Can I
Hmm.
come to your camp as a camp leader? And like, that's super
That's
cool too.
cool. Yeah. And I guess that
Yeah,
would be like a bit of a novelty for the camps in the US and Canada to have a European skater as a leader. That's
absolutely.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if everyone listening, if I wasn't working, I would be at a camp. So you should
Well,
come to a
Europe,
camp.
you can just fly over, come for a
Just
little
fly over.
vacation.
Yeah, I'll hijack the plane. It's fine. Hey, sorry, Captain. I actually need you to take me to Canada today. Thank you so much.
I hear they're very friendly,
Yeah,
so
me too. I'll talk to the next ones.
yeah.
Friday, tomorrow. I'm on flight. I'll check them out.
Okay, just go in the
Uh,
luggage compartment. You'll be fine.
Fabulous. So that's kind of everything towards the camps. We're heading towards the end of the main questions now, then. I do have one, obviously, this completely not really camp related or one team movement related, but what are your personal thoughts on Synchro 9? We can cut some of this out because I also just want to ask you in general. Um,
Yeah.
because there's been some very mixed feelings for comedic value. I was very fast to jump on the negative train and it really took off and had a life of its own. Um, do you think some of I guess it's more disappointment on the number, do you think that's justified, or do you think people need to give it a bit of time and wait to see? I guess any exposure is always good exposure and it's better than nothing, but yeah,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Anyone who is upset about the numbers going down to 9 is, I think, completely justified.
Yeah.
I think anyone who loves synchro, we love synchro based on what we know synchro to be, which is
Mm,
16 skaters on the ice, 20 skaters, 24 skaters. It's big numbers of people who can make beautiful shapes, beautiful elements. So I completely empathize and relate to anyone feeling like 9 is not synchro. Um, just like there's elements that teams of 9 cannot do. So I will
yeah.
never say that someone is not validated in their feelings because to me it's like no question. I understand the hesitation and the worry around what that means for the sport. That being said, I also think that experimentation is really healthy for
Hmm.
sport. I know like naturally people are resistant to change even at the best of times, but
Yeah.
especially when it's something that you're passionate about. Um, but from what I've seen, I think the ISU is really working to revitalize figure skating, not just synchro, but figure
No,
skating
just
as a
in
whole.
general, eh?
Yeah, and they're trying to bring in new spectators and create new opportunities in the sport, and I think that's very exciting. I think not every innovation works, and especially not the first time. So I think we just have to be open-minded, and if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it was a bad idea. It just means that it wasn't the idea, and that we're learning as we go. So I think understandably there are aspects of Synchro 9 that people won't like, but I
Hmm.
think the hope is that the early experiments will spark positive changes long term, just helping Synchro to evolve and bring us closer to Olympic inclusion.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something that's easy to forget as well, that it's like, no, it's not the right thing. It's not what exact straight away. It's not what we want. And we do, everyone forgets that it's a long process to
It
get
is.
where we
And
want to go.
happening on like the largest stage. It's not like
Mm,
it's not like we're starting at Synchronine from the bottom and working out the
no.
kinks as it grows. Like we're coming in from the top down and saying
Hmm.
Synchronine is going to be at the top. And then
That's
it's like
it.
if it fails, everyone's watching and
Yeah.
everyone's criticizing and everyone's looking to validate their anger, like I
Hmm.
told you it wouldn't work.
Hmm.
Um and that in itself is its own challenge, but yeah.
That's a
Um
media
it is
fire
what
for
it
the
is.
ISU
Like
to deal with later if that's what happens.
yeah, but like, it is what it is. Synchro got into the Youth Winter Olympics with 9, so now it's like, okay, let's make a plan.
Let's just go from there. I know
Yeah,
Lacey Prem have already released their announcement about tryouts and stuff and how serious they're going to be taking. So it's going to be exciting. And this episode will be coming out after the Prague World Championships. So we would have
yeah,
seen the debut of it's a news team, right? The Finnish team
yeah,
that's going to be there. So we will have
yeah.
had that one, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of opinions about what we see. But she's a mastermind, so no matter what, even if it's not what we're expecting, I'm sure it's going to be magnificent to watch. So we just
Yeah.
have to
I'm
wait and
curious
see.
to see there's Ice Dance International, there's like different groups in the US that different skaters are involved in where it's not traditional figure skating or
Mm,
traditional synchronized skating, it is art on ice.
mm,
Um and like I've seen things that they're doing with groups of 9 skaters and it's like they're not synchro skaters, they're ice dancers and they're like just a total mix of
yeah.
bodies. So I'm curious to see what this I will forever, I think, call it like a division of synchro because I
Mm,
don't think it is synchro as we know and love it. I think it's
yeah.
different, but it will be interesting to see how it looks in a few years from now after, synchro will debut it, the synchro people. But then I think we'll have influences from like maybe
Mhm.
ice dancers will come together and say, we're
Yeah.
going to start a whole team. And I think it's exciting because it invites a lot of experimentation. um, I don't know. I can't honestly say what I see this looking like in the future. I don't know if it will resemble anything like
Yeah.
synchronized skating as we know it. It might be a totally new branch of team skating, which opens the doors for synchro skaters to go in that avenue if they want to,
Mm.
or stay true to synchro as we know it with the larger teams. But yeah, well,
It'll
it's
be
just kind of a wait and
interesting.
see, and it's so hard to be patient.
Yeah,
It's
oh,
so hard.
absolutely. We want it now. We want to see what's
Yeah.
happening
Where's the
immediately.
crystal ball? Let's
Yeah,
go.
give it to us. If you have no
Yeah.
idea what we're talking about, it's the New York Theater on Ice or whatever. They're I can't remember if that's their exact name, but they're a really good one to have a look at to see what they do with bigger or groups of like 5 to 8, 9 people. They're a very interesting one to watch. So if you've no idea what we're talking about, have a look at that. But it'd be interesting for the collision of that ice dance and theater on ice and everyone see what it can bring about.
Yeah, I
Very
think right now
exciting.
it's like ISU is open-minded and they're just looking to see what teams
What
come up with and what is
happens?
going to resonate the most with audiences because at the end of the day, they're trying to boost the popularity of the sport and get more people interested. And
Yeah,
yeah,
the
it's a changing
interesting one.
time.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
see where it goes.
Hmm.
Um, That kind of brings us towards the end of everything then. My last big question for you was we moved away from one team, but now we're coming back. What do you see for the future of one team movement and with your goals and long-term planning? Is it camps for as long as possible, just continuing what you do for as long as possible?
Um, I think for us, our vision is all about growth and connection.
Yeah.
So we want to try to expand our camps, yes. It would be great to go back to bringing camps to Australia and also expand to Europe. Um, but we really just want to continue supporting athlete and coach education and development,
Hmm.
create more global connections within the synchro community because I don't think like one team movement as an organization, we can only do so much. But if we can continue to shift the mindset to people helping people, coaches helping coaches, teams helping teams, I think that will just help the sport grow at such an
Yeah.
exponential rate. Um, and hopefully get even closer to that ultimate Olympic goal for the sport. Obviously, we'd like to see greater grassroots participation
Hmm.
across the board, just more participation in synchro. I think the more people that do it, the more people that know about it,
Yeah.
and the better it is. But yeah,
Maybe
we
one
we want
day
to help.
everyone will be talking about the gold winning synchro team, like they're talking about Alyssa Liu. They'll talk about synchro like that level.
That would be amazing.
We never know. We can dream big.
Yeah, I mean it's just a matter of time, but
We'll
anything is
see.
possible. And I think we just want to see synchro thrive in every way possible and anything that we can do as an organization to help push the sport forward is kind of where we're focused on.
Yeah, I love it. Anything else you'd like to add? I feel like
Just
we've.
thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Oh,
for doing the podcast. Like I said, it's so easy to focus on, your role in the sport as a coach or as a skater and like, think of your role as being small and like in a bubble.
mm,
But I really commend people like you who have a passion for doing something and you do it because I think
thanks.
ultimately we are such a small community, but if more people felt empowered to use their gifts
Mm.
to help the sport, we would be so much further along. So thank you to everyone
Oh,
listening, and thank you to Sabrina and Afton for what you guys do too.
thanks. No, thank you. I think, yeah, it's important. You don't have to be involved just through coaching or skating. There's so many other ways to use your
Although
skills.
those are
So
important things to
they,
do
yeah,
too.
they are very important. Yeah. Kind
Yeah.
of key to it, but yeah, if you've got other skills, it's cool to be able to use them.
Yeah.
Amazing. Shall we move on to the final lucky last bit is our quick fire questions.
Let's do it.
So just whatever comes straight to mind first. No wrong
Okay.
answers. So the first one is short or free program.
To skate or to watch?
Either.
I guess it's the same free program.
Free program for both. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everyone.
It's cool to see like the lifts and creativity.
Yeah, there's more going on, eh?
Mm.
Two, what is your favorite element?
I think the no hold.
Ooh, I don't know if we've had anyone say no hold yet. I like it. Very
Hey.
good. What about
I
with the
love
old?
seeing I love seeing like the individual skaters and like how they skate as individuals because I
Mm,
think it's easy to like make a team look strong when they're attached.
yeah,
But if you can watch a no hold and you can watch individual skaters and they all look like senior ice dancers, it's like,
you're like,
okay,
wow.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Spin or jump?
In synchro, spin. If it's synchronized, spin for sure.
Mm, fabulous. We don't get rid of these axles.
I mean, like, do you remember years ago when like the Mexican team did double axles?
Oh, crazy.
Like bring that back, but to get them synchronized and close together, it's to me it's more impressive to see like a synchronized spin where you
Yeah,
have like
I
16
agree.
camel spins rotating. You're like, whoa, that's sick.
Yeah, yeah. Because a jump, they're like, oh, cool, you went up and down. Nice.
Yeah,
But they're doing, what is it? They've got double sows, I think, in Russia at the moment. One of their junior teams is all doing double sows. So who knows what we'll see with that.
yeah.
What is your favorite type of turn or step?
Um, I don't know. I love them all. I'm like, ooh, like a good, I mean, probably either counter or twizzle.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Good choice. Mine. Afton always laughed at me because I love a good inside forward inside three turn.
Oh yeah.
Nice, beautiful Lobie. Otherwise, I do love twizzles.
Yeah.
Same,
I
but yeah.
also really love like a good backward crossover.
Hmm. Yeah.
Feels good.
Beautiful
Yeah.
extension. Yeah, I get you. Just nice and
Yeah.
simple sometimes. That's all you need.
Hmm. Yeah.
What is the favorite program that you have skated? So people might not know what we're talking about, and if we don't, then we'll try find a video, but
Oh man.
go into the
I s-
archives.
yeah, I still say like my first senior short program ever was AC/DC Thunderstruck.
Damn, nice.
It was so hardcore. The funny thing is that program was actually set to Ave Maria first.
Oh my God. How do you go from that to
The softest of soft songs. And as a team, we just couldn't figure out the timing. So our coach tried to make us skate it to AC/DC Thunderstruck, and it worked. And we loved it. Like as a team, we were so jacked to skate to like a
yeah,
rock, piece of music.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a good program.
What a wild transition though. That's incredible.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
And then our lucky last one is what is your favorite program of all time to watch?
Oh,
Or like one
I
or
don't,
two. Usually we
I don't,
can't pick
I
one.
can't answer that. I don't know. Sorry, I'm terrible.
Do you have a synchro program from another team that sticks out in your mind then?
Like, I think a lot of the Marigold programs,
Yeah.
like way back when, just the
Yeah.
creativity that Anu had and
Hmm.
like like she was just such a visionary and how she
Yeah.
brought these programs to life, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I still remember like Les Supreme way back when they did like a black and white program. It was like black and white movies, but it was like super animated. That was cool. They had like again, Les Supreme, they've always had like very, very creative themes.
Yeah.
Um,
Some very cool ones.
yeah, and like Rockettes, a lot of their programs are just like really powerful. It's hard to
This,
say
yeah.
because there's so many programs that I'll watch. They'll be like, oh, like
That's
anything that
cool.
makes
Yeah.
you,
Any
it's
feel
it's
something.
feel something, but it's like different and
Mm.
outside of the box, and you're just like, oh, that's so creative. Like there's, you know, pieces of music that people have always skated to, but then when you see something that is done really, really well to something, a different piece of music, to me that just blows my mind. I'm like, hats off to the coaches for coming up with it. I
Yeah,
love
absolutely.
seeing creativity.
Their creative genius come to life.
Yeah.
Jealous. Would love to live in their brains to know what goes on. It'd be incredible.
Oh God. I don't know how they sleep.
Yeah.
Like top coaches, I don't like they're managing so much and then there's so much pressure to come up with something creative and new that works. Like
Hmm.
I don't know how they
And to
sleep.
stay at
Wow.
the top of the game. Yeah, like Marilyn must be doing steps in her sleep, literally, to come up with that all.
Yeah.
Icon.
And it's not just like it's a job, but it's a passion. So like it
Yeah.
consumes your thoughts. It's not just like a corporate job where you show up, you do your work, you leave, you go home to your family. It's
Yeah.
like I need to talk through what just happened for the rest of the night to
Hmm.
like
Yeah. There's no leaving
yeah.
it behind.
No, no, it's part of life.
Sure is. Well, that literally does bring us to the very end. So thank you very, very much for coming on and sharing your story, talking about One Team, and yeah, being here with me today. But also thank you for everything that you have done for the sport and with One Team. I think you're definitely someone that the whole synchro community can look up to and be very, very thankful for. So thank you for coming on. I feel very privileged. Like 16-year-old me, if she knew that she was talking to you right now, she'd probably pass away. So,
16-year-old you, I think I was living in your house at that time.
yeah, possibly, but you were having a great time with Sammy J, and I was probably in Australia, but I'm like, oh my God, Lisa, I'm talking to her. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. This has been absolutely lovely. Yeah, I don't.
I'm happy to have the full circle moment. I feel like the context is needed. I was doing a
Oh,
little mini camp in New Zealand and was staying with Sam's parents while I was there in town, but Sam wasn't, or sorry,
my
Sam.
parents. It's all right. There's two S's. It's fine. It
I was
confuses
staying at
everyone.
Sabrina's house while I was doing this contract in New Zealand, and I didn't really get to see Sabrina, but I got to know your family very
Yeah.
well. So it's a full circle
Everyone,
moment.
my whole family loves Lisa. They're like, yeah, she's great. She came and stayed, and I was in Australia, so it was fine. Everyone's like, yep, Lisa's moved in, you've moved out. Great. Have a good
Yeah.
time.
I was the adopted daughter for a couple
You were.
weeks.
You were.
But yeah,
Fabulous.
nice to have the full circle moment on
Yeah.
here. And thank you so much for having me. Lots of love,
The
the
Synchro
Synchro
Skaters
Skaters
Club.
Club.
Thanks, guys. We will be having a break next week for Senior Worlds, but then we'll be back with, as usual, as our follow-up. Thank you very much for listening. See you later.